I don't know if the Western Church is collapsing or if the Western Church is refining. Again, it's probably my very low church background, but when I think church, I think Christians. I'm not sure that the number of truly converted, God-fearing Christians in this country is all that different today compared to what it might have been 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I think that there's a lot of wood, hay and stubble that's being burnt off. There's a lot of people who don't have the convictions that are walking away because there is absolutely no cultural capital left, no social capital, no reputational benefit whatsoever involved in being a Christian. It's all gone. Now that is a big change in recent, not so distant decades. It's a huge shift. And there was an enormous edifice of cultural Christianity in this country. And of course, what they've seen in the last 20 years is it's just been gutted. Now, I'm not sure I don't think that's the fall of the church. I think that's a refining of the church. Yes, I think on paper, in terms of census data, Christians will be less, but I actually think the strength of the church will probably grow in the coming decades, though the numbers may shrink.
I certainly don't think there's a rise of progressive Christianity.
No, that's right.
That is going to obliterate the living, breathing Church of God. In fact, quite the opposite. In one of the cases that we were running, we had to lead evidence about the theological views, the doctrines, tenets and beliefs through the various denominations and churches in Australia. And that witness was subjected to significant hostile cross-examination about all of the evidence that they were leading about what churches believed, etc. And a lot of the information came out of these national church life surveys, a lot of the general census data. And I remember the hostile lawyer on the other side was saying, "Are you mean to tell me that churches that are affirming of LGBTQ lifestyles are decreasing in size, are diminishing?" And they went and said, "Of course, the data shows it. As soon as you look exactly like the world, there's no reason not to just be in the world." So people just leave those churches in droves, even though they have a significant media presence when the ABC or SBS is trying to interview someone. It's always the billboard priest of Gosford who has more people through his gift shop in the week than he has in the pew on Sunday. Yep. And the other thing is to distinguish between progressive Christianity and people who are solid Christians who are serving in more left-leaning areas, you would think, like refugees, a lot of the social issues, Aboriginal communities, soup kitchens, etc. That's not really progressive Christianity. Progressive Christianity doesn't do much of that at all. And we've got to make sure that we have a church which involves both those who are engaged in the culture on the controversial issues, but also those who are engaged in those social issues as well, that we're all part of that same living, breathing church. Sometimes the focus here is on one aspect of the church's mission, and it's not to diminish those other aspects that are really important as well.